October 29th, 2025. Dar es Salaam is burning. President Samia just stole an election with 98% of the vote. Opposition leaders caged on treason charges. Gen Z hits the streets. Tires ablaze, chants echoing. But here's where it gets dark. The Tanzanian army refuses to shoot their own people. So Samia makes a phone call. 24 hours later, 300 ghosts arrive. No uniforms, no flags, just guns. They speak English, not Swahili. And in 72 hours, 700 people are dead. Who are these men? Where do they come from? And why does every dictator in Africa have their number on speed dial? I'm pulling back the curtain on Africa's most profitable export. Not coffee, not oil, not minerals, human firepower. Over 20,000 battle-hardened soldiers shipped out of one country every single year. Guarding embassies in Baghdad, hunting rebels in Mogadishu, crushing protests from Nairobi to Bamako. This is the mercenary pipeline no one talks about. The shadow army propping up regimes when their own troops say no. Bloomberg documented it. Human Rights Watch verified it. The UN knows about it but won't stop it. And it all flows from one place, Uganda. Today, I'm breaking down the entire machine. The bosses, the money, the blood trail, and why what happened in Tanzania is just the beginning. Let's go. Rewind to 1986. Yoweri Museveni's guerrilla army storms Kampala. They've just overthrown one of Africa's bloodiest dictators. Idi Amin left 300,000 corpses in his wake. Museveni promises a new Uganda. Democracy, stability, progress. Fast forward 39 years. He's still in power, still president, still in control. But here's the problem he created. Thousands of demobilized fighters flood the streets after victory. Disciplined, English-speaking, battle-tested, no jobs, no future, no way back to civilian life. Uganda's GDP per capita? Barely $1,000. 37 million people scratching by. Then 9/11 happens, and suddenly, the global war machine needs bodies. Cheap bodies, expendable bodies, bodies that won't make American headlines when they die. Enter the private military contractors. They see gold in Uganda's poverty. Trained soldiers who'll work for $800 a month. No unions, no protests, no questions asked. By 2003, the pipeline opens. SOC LLC, a U.S. defense giant, starts recruiting. Thousands of Ugandans shipped to Iraq's Green Zone. $813 million in Pentagon contracts by 2015. They're labeled third country nationals, cheaper than Americans, tougher than Filipinos, invisible when convenient. And that's when the real kingpin emerges. The machine. Saracen Uganda. If you've never heard the name, that's by design. Born in the early 2000s from South African Special Forces roots. Run by ex-apartheid operators who know how to move in shadows. On paper, a private security company. Guards banks, protects embassies, trains personnel. In reality, Uganda's mercenary export factory. The local arm operates out of Kampala. 3,000 guards deployed domestically, but thousands more shipped overseas. Now here's where it gets murky. The company's owned by South African parents, but the real power flows through Museveni's inner circle. Lieutenant General Salim Saleh, Museveni's brother, sand mining baron. He inks the procurement deals, controls the pipeline. And the heir apparent? General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Museveni's son. Born 1974 in Tanzanian exile, Sandhurst trained, commander of the Special Forces by 2008. Now Chief of Defense Forces since March 2024. Muhoozi doesn't officially own Saracen. That'd be too obvious, too sloppy. But his Muhoozi project? A shadow network grooming him for succession, patriotic league rallies, Twitter tirades, and quiet control over who goes where. Bloomberg exposed the recruitment process in 2016. Interpol vets 1,000 applicants every single month. Ads blast across NTV. Guard Dubai, $2,000 per month. Ex-UPDF veterans cycle through 2-week crash courses, AK-47 refreshers, VIP protection tactics. Then they're shipped out. Somalia, Iraq, South Sudan, Afghanistan, wherever governments need plausible deniability. The remittances, $200 million yearly. More than coffee exports since 2009. Uganda's Ministry of Gender celebrates it. Critics call it human trafficking with a uniform. But the real question is, where do these men end up? And what do they actually do? Let's start in the Middle East. Iraq, 2003 to 2011. Peak deployment, 8,000 Ugandans. They guard embassy walls, escort convoys through Fallujah. When Blackwater massacres 17 civilians in Nisour Square in 2007, leaked documents show Ugandans were in the mix. Accountability? Zero. Afghanistan echoes the same pattern. VIP shadows for NATO commanders. Anti-Taliban patrols until the 2021 pullout. Base pay? $800 a month. Hazard bonuses bump it to $2,000. Back home, that's a fortune. But Bloomberg investigations reveal the cost: beatings, unpaid wages, 120-hour work weeks, no legal recourse, no way home if you complain. Now let's move to Africa, because that's where the real blood gets spilled. Somalia. 6,000 unofficial mercenaries on top of official ATMIS peacekeepers. Saracen trains anti-Shabaab squads. Convoys gold shipments for UAE donors. When al-Shabaab ambushes intensify, Ugandans plug the gaps. Human Rights Watch documents the collateral damage. Villages razed, civilians caught in crossfire. South Sudan, 2013. Civil war erupts along Dinka-Nuer ethnic lines. President Salva Kiir's own army starts defecting. Museveni airlifts 5,000 advisors. UPDF mercenary hybrids funneled through Saracen. Juba retaken. Oil fields secured. But ethnic massacres follow. 300,000 dead. The UN fingers Ugandans in rape camps. Mass graves. Systematic brutality. Equatorial Guinea, 2004. Dictator Obiang's regime fears a coup. His own security forces can't be trusted. Kampala recruiters ship 200 men for border operations. Dissidents hunted, throats slit. Deniability? Pristine. Central African Republic, 2018. President Touadera hires hybrid forces against Seleka rebels. Resource grabs masked as security operations. Diamond mines secured while villages burn. And then there's the DRC. Museveni's been playing the long game here since 1996, when he helped Tutsi rebels topple Mobutu. Fast forward to 2025. Muhuzi tweets, "Border secured," while Ituri stays occupied. Coltan mines hum under commercial veils. Al Jazeera investigations expose the shadow economy. Sand, charcoal, minerals, all flowing through Salam Saleh's Nile agro-empire. Nigeria's bandit wars, Mozambique's gas fields, Mali's jihadist insurgency. Everywhere you look, Ugandan mercenaries fill the gaps. When official troops won't do the dirty work. When governments need foreign hands on the trigger. But nothing compares to what just happened in Tanzania. Let's go back to October 29th, 2025. Election day in Tanzania. President Samia Suluhu Hassan wins with 98% of the vote. Even by African standards, that's absurd. Opposition leader Tundu Lissu, locked up on treason charges since spring. Chadema Youth Wing hits the streets. Tires burning, posters shredded, chants echoing. This is mainland fury. See, Tanzania's union has an unwritten rule since 1964. Presidents from the vast mainland, Tanganyika. Vice presidents from the Spice Islands, Zanzibar, Nyerere, Mwinyi, Kikwete. All mainland stock. But Samia, born in Zanzibar, she inherited power when President Magufuli died suddenly in 2021. To Dar es Salaam's dock workers and Dodoma's farmer, this feels like colonization. Zanzibar's elite loot our ports while we scrape by on $2 a day. COVID gutted tourism. Inflation devours wages. Abductions hit 83 since Samia took oath. Freedom House labels Tanzania not free. Gen Z, TikTok fueled, Kenya inspired, channels 2024's rage. Hashtag Samia must go trends. Barricades rise. By dawn, October 30th, curfews slam down. Internet blackouts. Army Chief Jacob Mukunda brands them criminals. But here's where everything changes. The Tanzanian Defense Forces, Jeshi la Ulinzi, refuse shoot-to-kill orders. Videos flood X, soldiers sipping tea with protesters, chanting Haki Yetu, our rights. Defiance ripples through the ranks. Ethnic ties bind soldiers to the crowds. Samia's in crisis mode. Her own military won't fire on citizens, so she picks up the phone. Calls Kampala. Within 24 hours, Lieutenant Colonel Nsaju's crew, 300 strong, slips across Lake Victoria. No UPDF uniforms, no flags, unmarked ghosts in civilian clothes. $1,500 per man for 90 days of repression work. They fan out across Dar es Salaam, Morogoro checkpoints. English commands pierce the Swahili streets. Freeze! Down! Locals immediately notice. Hawa ni wa Uganda, hawatambui Kiswahili. These are Ugandans. They don't understand Swahili. Viral clips spread. A mercenary fumbling to haggle for mandazi, fried dough. Exposed mid-raid because he can't speak the language. In 72 hours, opposition groups tally 700 dead. The UN verifies 500 through gunfire and tear gas hell in Shinyanga. Human Rights Watch logs mass graves. Border chases spill into Kenya, killing innocent strays. Today, November 3rd, Samia's swearing-in ceremony. Not at State House, not with diplomatic glamour. At Dodoma's military base, barbed wire, snipers scanning rooftops, those English-speaking phantoms patrolling the perimeter. UN Secretary-General Guterres fumes publicly. SADC, the Southern African Development Community, stays silent. But the mainland's roar, it's just warming up. Because what happened in Tanzania isn't an anomaly. It's a playbook, the same playbook used in Kenya in 2024. The Kenya Parallel. June 25th, 2024. Kenya erupts over IMF-mandated tax hikes. Finance bill jacks up prices on bread, sanitary pads, fuel. Gen Z storms parliament. The Kenya Defense Forces hesitate. Military oaths bind them to protect citizens, not shoot them. So shadows roll in. Saracen operatives. English barks amid Sheng Street slang. Kenya National Commission on Human Rights documents the aftermath. 39 dead, 600 shot. Rex Masai live streams his own death, bullet mid-vlog. Eric Shieni, hooded, abducted, tortured. President Ruto bins the finance bill on June 26th, but the rage doesn't stop. Abductions hit 82 by December 2024. Sound familiar? It's the same pattern. When national armies refuse brutal crackdowns, when soldiers risk mutiny over firing on citizens, presidents call Kampala. Uganda provides plausible deniability. Foreign contractors, no direct government involvement, no local soldiers with blood on their hands. And Museveni? He gets paid, maintains influence, expands power, but there's a deeper layer here. This isn't just about Uganda's economy. It's about global proxy warfare. The United States outsources AFRICOM operations, Somalia drone strikes, Niger coup responses. All need boots that won't trigger congressional hearings. Russia mirrors this with Wagner Group, now rebranded Africa Corps, operating in 15 African nations, trading mercenary muscle for mineral access. China, Belt and Road. Initiative bodyguards, protecting billions in infrastructure investments. Every major power uses the same loophole. The private contractors aren't officially military, so they dodge international law. The 2008 Montreux document? Toothless. UN Mercenary Convention? Loopholes everywhere, and African lives become the currency. The system's cracks. But here's what the powers didn't count on. Gen Z isn't playing by the old rules. In Kenya, they organized without leaders, used encrypted apps, live-streamed everything, made martyrs go viral before the bodies went cold. In Tanzania, they're doing the same. Every Ugandan merc exposed online becomes proof. Every leaked video chips away at deniability. Bobi Wine, Uganda's opposition leader, watches closely. Protests are brewing in Kampala too, because Ugandans are starting to ask, why are our brothers dying overseas for pennies while Museveni's family gets rich? The International Criminal Court circles Muhuzi, torture proxies, abduction networks, resource theft. Interpol has the recruitment data. Bloomberg has the money trail. Human Rights Watch has the body count. The machine still grinds, 20,000 deployed, economies juiced, regimes propped. But the line is fraying. Kenyan youth proved militaries can be shamed into hesitation. Tanzanian soldiers showed ethnic bonds matter more than orders. Each deployment now risks exposure. Each video risks sparking the next uprising. Samia's swearing in behind barbed wire isn't strength. It's fear, and fear is contagious. When leaders need foreign guns to hold power against their own people, the legitimacy is already gone. You're just counting down to collapse. So where does this end? 3 scenarios. 1. The machine keeps grinding. More protests, more calls to Kampala, more massacres. Regional powers stay silent because they might need the same service tomorrow. 2. The ICC actually acts. Muhoozi gets indicted. Saracen operations exposed in international court. The pipeline shuts down, not from morality, but from legal liability. 3. The youth movements win. Kenya redux spreads. Tanzania explodes. Uganda follows. Soldiers across the continent refuse to be the hammer against their own people. I'm watching for one signal. The day a Ugandan mercenary unit mutinies, refuses orders, turns around, films it and uploads. That's when the machine breaks, because mercenaries only work when they're invisible and obedient. The second they become human again, the second they choose solidarity over paychecks, game over. Until then, this is the reality. African blood buys Western deniability, Russian reach, Chinese ports. When armies defy, presidents dial Kampala. And the cost? Sovereignty bleeds out one deployment at a time, but the youth are watching, recording, organizing, remembering. What happened in Dar es Salaam isn't staying in Tanzania. What happened in Nairobi echoes in Kampala. The shadows are moving, but so is the light. Drop a comment. Do you think the Ugandan mercenary pipeline will collapse from internal pressure or international intervention? Hit subscribe. Next video, I'm exposing Muhoozi's full ledger. Every deal, every massacre, every dollar. And if you're in East Africa right now, stay sharp, stay safe, stay loud, because silence is how they win, and we're done being silent.